No, like, like I've always said, we need to be careful with playing politics with the economy.
Okay.
And then again, let's learn to compare apples with apples, not apples with oranges. I mean, why would we be comparing our debt profile with that of Ghana? If you place us on a pedestal, we are not on the same level. But be that as it may, I think bottom line, the real issue is not really whether Nigeria is borrowing. The issue really is how we deploy the funds that we borrow.
Exactly.
Nations borrow, just like individuals and businesses. And the essence is, if you notice there's a gap based on your projection and your actuals. I mean, what you want to plug those shortfalls to satisfy certain needs. So it's fine. I mean, America is the superpower nation of the world and the biggest borrower. So for me, I think the real issue really should be the deployment of those borrowed funds or borrowed funds to areas that would regenerate income, that will help to repay. That is one. And secondly, of course, again, too, it's imperative that those monies that are borrowed are long-term and very low interest. You know, so I mean, these are the issues we need to look at, not whether Nigeria is borrowing. Again, too, we probably might want to look at our debt to GDP ratio, if it's good, based on what we are generating as a nation, then it's fine. But when you borrow and then deploy the money you borrow into paying salaries, recurrent expenditure, as against capital expenditure, I have a challenge with that, especially for an emerging economy, in fact, for any economy. So, I mean, those are the discussions we actually should be having, and not whether we are borrowing or we're not borrowing.
Okay, well, I completely agree with you. So debt is not bad as long as it's used in ways to refuel the economy, to be able to pay off the debts that we're collecting. Now, I obviously think that the huge issue is that we don't have much to show for all the money that we're borrowing. So how can the government curb this?
I agree. We really don't have much to show. I mean, by way of infrastructural development, our roads are in deplorable states. Things are not the way they really should be. The economy hasn't been energized, right? It's not in a good place. Businesses are struggling; those that are still in existence. Overall, the economy is not performing optimally or even anywhere near the expected or the projected. Growth rates are far below the projected, with the actuals. So what can the government do? I mean, just like I said, I mean, government is like an individual or a business. You can't keep doing what you're doing and expect a totally different result. It's not going to happen.
It's madness.
Our economy is essentially driven by oil. Now, you need to look at the budget. The budget is predicated on a 2.3 million barrels per day. 2018, 2017 was 2.1. Between you and I, we know that we didn't meet those projections. So again, that's already a challenge. If you now juxtapose that again with the fluctuation in international price markets, right, for oil, the vagaries, which is not something that is within the control of any nation state. It's dependent on whether North Korea shoots rockets and America retaliates and stuff like that. Or whether America wants to continue the fight with Iraq and stuff like that. So we need to find a way to drive our crude production to meet, the set target. That is one. Secondly, people talk about diversification. I am not so hung on that. The reason being that, okay, you want to diversify to agriculture. Okay. We need to understand that what you eat in Nigeria is not what the Chinese eat in China. Food is relative to your environment. It's good to...
That's a very brilliant point.
Thank you. I mean, food is relative to environment. But it's good to be, agricultural or food self-sufficient. That is fine. What we need to do essentially is to boost certain sectors. Agriculture, which is, the second to oil in terms of GDP contribution to the nation's economy. It contributes, if you look at quarter to quarter over a period of time, it averages 23 to 25%. General commerce, which is very key. I mean, that is, the hub upon which, to a large extent, transactions within the economy is crested on. Without it, the economy grinds to a halt. Its contribution to the nation's GDP, averagely, quarter to quarter, is around 16%. Manufacturing, which is very key, because manufacturing encompasses at least 13 other major sectors. Yeah. Its contribution to GDP on the average, quarter to quarter, is less than 10%.
Oh, we've been thinking.
So, what I just did is to identify the challenges.
Okay.
Now, you know that general commerce is very key. It has even now dovetailed into e-commerce. The richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, is an e-commerce merchant. Okay. So it shows that you have a lot of potentials there. Agriculture, you break down agriculture, into crop and animal.
Farming.
Farming is as crop,
okay.
And then animal husbandry.
Yeah.
Crop contributes over 90%. Animal husbandry, let's even say 10%. But you find out that what's going on right now in this country is a situation where the 10% is decimating the 90%. You have the herdsmen and their cattle destroying farmlands, especially within the middle belt axis, and that is the food basket of this country. So government needs to find a way to correct that, or else we're going to run into a food crisis situation. So these are the things we need to do. You need to identify certain key sectors within the economy that you need to boost. And when you boost that, issues bordering around unemployment will be corrected. The government is complaining about low revenue generation. Let's identify areas where government generates revenue, right? Okay, fine.
A key thing that he pointed out was the need to collect taxes, right?
So let's talk about that.
Since the government is into comparing with countries,
yes.
Do you think Nigeria can get to a point where we get as much out of taxation as other countries do?
Taxation is an endpoint.
Yeah.
Let's look at the process. Let's look at what leads to that. Taxation can be broken down into corporate income tax, withholding VAT and stuff like that, pay as you earn. Now, what's the unemployment level in Nigeria? It's very, very high.
Very high.
So that's an area where the government is already essentially losing tax because you don't have so many people, especially within the youth demographic in the employment market. So how do you tax them? Businesses are not thriving.
You don't even want to pay people well.
Businesses are not thriving. So if businesses are not thriving, how do you get corporate tax, right? So these are the issues. So the environment is harsh. It's not enabling. So which is the normal cliche. So these are certain things, measures need to be put in place to spike government's income generation.
Well, we don't have much time, so I actually want to get to a topic that I've been meaning to discuss with you. So when wages were increased way back, right, between like 1978 to 1984.
You born
to 120. No, but I've done my research. To 125 naira. That was valued at more than $125. Right now, the government is bickering back and forth about 30,000 naira. That is even less than $84. Do you think that 30,000 naira is enough to be going back and forth about? And I talk about this because you talked about unemployment, and I'm saying that the people that are even working are not even being paid properly.
Yeah. Okay, two things here. The periods that you just compared are two totally different eras. The 1960s into 70s and early part of the 80s, the naira was stronger than the dollar.
Of course.
At some point, it was 75 kobo to a dollar, right? Our economy was very, very sound. Oil hadn't overtaken our psyche and our mental fixation. Agriculture was still very strong, okay? But, I mean, there has been a downturn, a reversal in fortune of the Nigerian economic space. So
you're saying it's 30,000 naira is enough to be going back and forth?
30,000 naira is small. But then again, we probably need to look at the workforce, the size of the workforce, and the efficiency of the workforce. Do you need the number of people that you have right now? A whole lot of them are actually not contributing effectively. So maybe we need to downsize and then increase salary for those who are really there and contributing to the nation's growth.